evening, and welcome to the 149th Annual Commencement Exercises of Holbrook Public Schools. Please rise and remain standing and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you please remain standing and pause for a moment of silence in honor of those, past and present, who have served or are currently serving our country, also in memory of all of our loved ones who cannot be with us today. Please join me in observing a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see light dawn early night, or so proudly we hailed at twilight's last gleaming, whose was blessed and bright dawn through the perilous night. Oh, the
Thank you. You may be seated. Now, I'd like to introduce our class secretary, Brooke Walker, who will welcome you to tonight's commencement ceremony.
Thanks. Superintendent Hamilton, Assistant Principal O'Driscoll, faculty and staff, school committee, parents, family, friends, and of course, the Holbrook Middle High School class of 2021. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to tonight's commencement ceremony. It has been quite a challenging year, and I am extremely proud to be a part of this graduating class. We weren't sure how our time here was going to end, but thankfully, with everyone's hard work and dedication, the class of 2021 was able to get back into the classroom to celebrate our last month of high school together. Throughout our time in the Holbrook Public Schools, especially during this past year, we have shown determination, perseverance, and diligence, which demonstrates what we are capable of accomplishing in our future. Today is a special day in all of our lives, and it is a chance to reflect on how we have spent our time here and the differences we've made in society or in someone else's life. As I look back over the years, I fondly think of the many wonderful teachers I've had along the way and the great friendships I have made, starting all the way back to kindergarten at the old JFK school. I can vividly remember our first field day together at JFK. Many of our parents volunteered to help at the different stations where we decorated cupcakes, grabbed way too many freeze pops, played games, competed in racing events, and dunked our teachers at the dunk tank. Remembering this, I find it fitting that we ended our last day of high school with a field day just last week. Another memory from the JFK is the excitement of being chosen to go with a partner to get milk for the classroom from the lunch ladies. The JFK is where the majority of us made our first school memories and friends. Over the years, we got older, and with that came the South School and even more adventures. We had lots of memorable field trips, some more amusing than others. One of them that I will always remember, and I think those who are in Miss Shepard's or Miss Michael's class will agree with me, is our trip to the Freedom Trail. This 5th grade field trip turned out to be a somewhat unfortunate day for us because it rained the entire day and one of our buses broke down in the middle of the highway on the way to Boston. It seems like so long ago we were getting ready to attend our first ever dance to end our time at the South School. It was decorated with neon lights and we wore glow sticks while taking an extreme amount of pictures in the photo booth. And then after 6th grade, it was time to go to the old junior-senior high school, where we spent our 7th and 8th grade years. We loved it there, even though the ceiling tiles would occasionally fall on our head during Mr. B's history class. This was also when we went on the whale watch where many of us got sick and some, like me, almost fainted after seeing a shark instead of a whale. Come our freshman year, we were fortunate enough to enter the beautiful new Holbrook Middle High School that was built with state-of-the-art technology and new athletic fields. Two of our most incredible experiences that happened here were when we traveled far beyond the walls of our school. On our visit to Washington, D.C., we saw the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the MLK Jr. Memorial, and the Vietnam War Memorial, where I was honored to sketch the name of Paul Surratt. These were some of the best parts of the trip. Oh, and how could I leave out listening to Kylie and Holly's interesting recording of the song September on the bus ride home, which made some of the lengthy hours feel a bit more endurable, or less endurable, depending on who you asked. A little over a year later, some of us were immersed in a different culture on our trip to Ecuador. Here, we learned how to salsa dance and were encouraged to try new foods. My favorite part of that trip was donating school supplies to the children in a village that we visited. It was nice to see the smiles on their faces and how grateful they were to receive such simple gifts. Washington, D.C. and Ecuador are two trips that I will never forget, and a huge thank you is deserved to our chaperones, Miss Grant, Miss Gallagher, Mrs. McCann, and Mr. Flanagan, who volunteered their time and went with us on not one, but both of those trips. And with that, I would now like to take the time to thank those who played a vital role in getting us all on this stage today. To our families, thank you for the loving support and guidance you have given us. We truly appreciate all that you have done. To our friends, thank you for the joyful spirits your presence has provided us with. The friendships and memories we've made, whether they were in kindergarten or just last year, will always be remembered. To our teachers, thank you for the lessons you've taught us, for never giving up on us, and for wanting to see us succeed. You all inspired us each day with your knowledge. To our coaches, thank you for your constant encouragement and time spent pushing us beyond our limits. Your commitment does not go unnoticed. To our advisors, thank you for always listening to some of our strange ideas and planning our long-awaited activities. A special thank you to the class of 2021's advisor, Miss Grant. Your earnest dedication has given us the senior events that many of us feared we would miss out on. I would also like to thank Ms. Pallone, who is new to advising and worked with us our freshman and sophomore year. To all of our faculty and staff, thank you for being there at every activity, especially the ones this year, and ensuring that we were able to enjoy our senior year. On behalf of my classmates, I'd like to give a special shout out to Mrs. Morgan for being our biggest advocate and always going the extra mile to make sure our experience at Holbrook High was special. Finally, to my classmates, thank you for the countless laughs and for making each class enjoyable. These 12 years have left a lasting impression because of each one of you. We have proven that even during difficult and uncertain times, we will continue to move forward and push through whatever the world will throw at us. Good luck to everyone next year, and I wish you nothing but happiness and success as you move on to the next journey in your life. Thank you. Today's first honor essay will be given by the class salutatorian and the vice president of the class of 2021, Ileanis Luciano.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Can you hear me? As the salutatorian of Holbrook Middle High School's class of 2021, I would like to welcome friends, family, staff, and above all, the class of 2021. The day is finally here. We are officially graduating, and I can't imagine any other grade that deserves it more than we do. This year was anything but easy, and I'm so happy to be sharing this milestone with all of you today. Again, thank you all for being here and for your never-ending support. When I began to write my speech, I had no idea where to start. I figured it wouldn't be too hard, so I put it off until the last possible minute, just to indulge in the spirit of high school one last time. These past 4 years have been nothing close to what I thought they would be. When I was younger, I obviously pictured students singing and dancing on lunch tables, hurling various stale sandwiches across the cafeteria, and throwing papers in the hall at the end of the school year. But we all know we did not actually live High School Musical, unfortunately. Instead, we got to deal with the anxiety and stress of countless hours of essays, GPA competition, and most importantly, finding the slope of a line. Nevertheless, it's safe to say that we made the most of our 4 years of high school, and I couldn't have asked for it any other way. I would like to paint a small picture of my time here at HMHS, and I wish I could talk about all the memories from all 4 years of high school, but we're just going to have to settle for the 3 years I was here. 10th grade was full of spirit weeks, homecoming, games, and the resale cults our honest English class had created. In addition to that, we had Miss A's class and a handful of some pretty competitive trivia games. Our junior year was cut short, and to be honest, I can't really remember anything except for ethos, pathos, and logos, which will forever be ingrained in my brain. We entered senior year all dreading the class we've been hearing of about the past few years, capstone. But it turned out not to be so bad. So thank you, Mrs. Payon, for showing us power poses, which I made sure I practiced today before coming up here. The year was off to a rocky start, what with hybrid learning, missing out on homecoming and fall sports, and only seeing half of our grade. By January, though, winter sports had resumed, and we got ready to go back to school full-time in April. And I was genuinely excited about that, for 10 whole minutes. Once those minutes passed, it sank in that this was the last few months I would have with you all. As sad as that may seem, we were able to create some amazing memories. Even though it was my idea, I did not want to wake up at 5 a.m. to see the sunrise. But I am so happy that I did because it was so much fun being able to spend the morning with our class. Our last week as seniors was full of fun events such as bowling, prom, paintball, and of course today. I am so grateful that we were able to enjoy the end of our senior year together, which was far from guaranteed 10 months ago. Prom was probably my favorite event of the year, especially seeing everyone so dressed up and having a great time. It's safe to say that the last 2 months made up for everything we missed out on the past year. When the world shut down close to the end of our junior year, the global community experienced unprecedented changes. We've been living through a phase perhaps unlike any before it. As difficult as this time has been, it has also shown us how resilient we are, taught us that nothing is immutable, and invigorated us to motivate ourselves to make the most out of the challenges we faced. This year has been a year of uncertainty, a year of trials and tribulations for all, but it has also been a year of growth and overcoming fears for each and every one of us graduating this year. As necessity is the mother of invention and near death brings a new appreciation of life, so too has this uncertainty and these trials brought out of us a new zeal for life. The optimist in me dares to say that this year has been one of inspiration. For me, this reflective process brings to mind Sonia Sotomayor, nominated by Barack Obama in 2009 to be Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. She is the third woman to hold the position and the first Hispanic justice to serve on the nation's highest court. Sonia Sotomayor gives hope to young Latina women like me, as well as each and every one of us who has faced difficulties of the innumerable kind, such as we have been presented with this year. Like Sotomayor, I too choose to savor life. When you have anything that threatens life, it prods you into stepping back and really appreciating the value of life and taking from it what you can. Sotomayor's words ring true for us all, and I hope that they continue to do so in the future. We've gone through times like no other, and we're forced to step back and admire all of the blessings and everyday things we may have skimmed over or taken for granted. If this year has taught me anything, it's that tomorrow is never promised. So, enjoy today and every day to the absolute fullest, and really take in the little moments. I hadn't thought of the fact that we might not have the senior year we'd been dreaming of since kindergarten. And in the end, we really did end up having an entirely different year than the one we'd hoped for. But with all the chaos of this year, I'd like to thank all of the teachers and staff for making this year the best it could be. Most of the class of 2021 sitting here today have grown up in the Holbrook school system since kindergarten, but I, on the other hand, switched 3 different schools from middle school to now. So thank all of you for taking me in and making me feel welcome ever since my first day here at Holbrook High. I would like to give a special thank you to the teachers that made my experience here one I'll never forget. Thank you, Mrs. McCann, for being an amazing teacher and coach. And Peps, thank you for welcoming me onto the soccer team, even if you didn't know my name until the end of the season. And thank you for putting up with our calculus class and our One Direction conversations, specifically Zayn Malik. But above all, I'd like to thank my amazing parents for their support throughout all my years of school. Thank you, Mom, for pushing me to strive to do my best just the way you did in high school. And thank you, Dad, for making me lunch for school ever since preschool, even when you insisted I bought school lunch. Thank you to all the families here today. You are all here to celebrate these amazing graduates. So thank you for being such integral and influential components of our lives. Well, I hope you're all still awake, but awake or asleep, I hope you all enjoyed today's celebration of the class of 2021. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce today's second honor essay given by our class president, who is also our class valedictorian, Carrietta Jocks.
Good evening, friends and family, administration and staff, and most indispensably, the class of 2021. It is my absolute pleasure to be speaking to you all tonight as this year's valedictorian. In honor of all the excruciating poems we read this year, I'd like to begin by quoting one that's a little more my style. As the lovely Dr. Seuss once wrote, "At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of Holbrook Middle High School." Okay, so maybe I added that last bit, but in all sincerity, growing up in a tiny town designated to this small school system, I was fed with the notion that, as both a student and individual, my opportunities were limited. As if we were the swan-wee swans who can't sing a note, inhibited by the smog stuck in our throats, they'd tell us there are bigger schools, richer schools, less stifling halls, communities where math teachers aren't the coaches with soccer balls. To them I challenge, how can you fully understand the meaning of community without witnessing it firsthand? Even now, as I sit writing this very speech, I struggle to articulate just how awe-inspiring the community we've built here is. Out of the roughly 470,000 reported words within the English dictionary, nothing can encompass the talent, resilience, and warmth that lives within each and every individual beside me today. With that being said, I will try my absolute best to explain to you what I've been a part of for the last 12 years of my life. Every Monday morning, I had the unique pleasure of catching up with those walking the same path as me to first period. Although these friendships blossomed within and never outside those narrow halls, I could tell you the name of Anaya's favorite Golden Girl and all about Kylie's dream of living within the Hunger Games dystopia. Our lessons in empathy were learned during a mass bout of seasickness on that fondly remembered whale-watching field trip. Just a few years prior, as we searched for the lost shoes of our classmates within the mud at Wollaston Beach, we realized just how far we'd go for the ones we love. Bonding is truly something special. When your life is filled with people and adventures such as these, they become your entire world. This class, this family, has motivated me to be a more productive, purposeful, and passionate person. With a notion such as that, any other material value rooted in the existence of bigger and better feels nothing but minimizing. Holbrook is the community to which I have grown accustomed, a place where no person is lost in the mystery of the populace, a place where the keen and casual observer alike can find three values which exist as a living, working reality. 1, compassion, no matter its depth, is irreplaceable. Don't take even the tiniest of acquaintances for granted. They'll be the ones there to cry with you, laugh with you, and scream late at night in group text with you. These are the moments that will last us a lifetime. 2, insignificant is subjective. Cherish the seemingly trivial, especially the treasures that hide within the smallest of towns. 3, community is not a threat to individuality. Defining our own individuality is our prerogative and ours alone. Labels describe collectives, not individuals, and substituting who we are for such labels is a falsification of our persons. We are more than our labels, and we are more than our differences. Now, it's truly surprising I was able to get this far without use of the word pandemic, but we all knew it was coming. We celebrated the news of a 2-week vacation from school, not knowing the year's worth of isolation that would follow. While we should have been touring colleges and discovering the passions that would blossom into future career interests, we ended our junior year at home, virtually, alone. Fast forward to now, the day of our high school graduation, and we still have yet to be less than 6 feet apart from one another. Despite the memories we lost to this distance, this time apart is what would reveal the extent of our class's humanity and compassion. From the monthly texts of those peers whom we'd never expect to check in, to collaborating in group FaceTimes for yet another Google Classroom assignment, we refused to lose touch. If you had told a middle school version of me that I had spent nearly a year away from our traditional learning environment, to say I had been elated would be a gross understatement. When living in that reality, the exact opposite was true. We truly and authentically missed one another. That in itself is very telling. I would be remiss if I were not to highlight the way in which we responded to an ever-changing and at times scary society. While caught up in pandemics and confined to a laptop, we had to grow bigger, so bigger we got. We biggered our perspectives, we biggered our convictions. We loudened our voices and welcomed transitions. When our friends, family, and world were in need, you never shied away. Eager to help in whatever way possible, you scrutinized proclivity, advocated for the disadvantaged, and cultivated the core values of your individuality. If you take anything away from tonight, please let it be this reminder. Never surrender that fervor. Continue to fight for your beliefs. Embrace those tough conversations and do your best to change the world. You've certainly changed mine. And with that, class of 2021, I dare you all. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hacked. But most importantly, unless someone like you, who cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Take a breath and smile, 2021. We did it. Now please welcome our class treasurer, Jessica West.
Good evening. Today I have the honor to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Massachusetts State Senator John F. Keenan. He graduated from Harvard University with a government concentration and then went on to graduate from Suffolk University Law School. In 2019, he then graduated from the Harvard Kennedy School with a master's in public administration. Senator John Keenan has served as a state senator for 6 terms, representing the towns of Quincy, Abington, Braintree, Rockland, and Holbrook. In his time as state senator, he has served as the Senate Chair of the Joint Committee of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, the Senate Chair of the Joint Committee on Public Health, the Chair of the Senate Committee on Bonding, Capital Expenditures, State and State Assets, and the Chair of the Senate Committee on Post-Audit and Oversight. Now, Senator Keenan currently serves as the Chair of the Joint Committee on Housing and as Vice Chair of the Joint Committee on Transportation. Before Senator Keenan comes to the podium, I want to share with you what makes him unique and special as the honored speaker at the class of 2021's graduation from Holbrook Middle High School. Our interactions with Senator Keenan started when we were in 5th grade, on a trip to the State House. We were there as part of the school's civics club to talk about substance abuse and to give a small presentation about it. In addition to showing us around the State House and talking to us about substance abuse, Senator Keenan took the time out of his very busy schedule to take a selfie with every single one of us who wanted one that day. Senator Keenan, we will never forget those 5th grade selfies. Since that day in 5th grade, some of us have worked more in depth with Senator Keenan on things such as an act modernizing tobacco control, which he was the principal author and sponsor of. This legislation, which was successfully passed, would ban all flavored tobacco products in Massachusetts. He also visited the school various other times as well for other activities since we first met him back in 5th grade. Being a part of this group of students who worked on that bill, let me tell you what kind of person Senator Keenan is. Senator Keenan is the type of person to never give up. No matter how many convenience stores owners were raving in favor of flavored tobacco products, and arguing with us about this issue, he never showed any signs of not wanting to continue with this legislation. Beyond passing bills into laws, and after spending the day in the State House and walking all around it for hours speaking with different representatives, when we went back to his office, we were always met with snacks, water, and a friendly face. Senator Keenan is also someone who does not look for praise for himself, but for rather for us students. During the time we were working on the tobacco legislation, he would always give us the credit, even though without him, the bill would not have existed. He is a trendsetter and a leader. This legislation he wrote was the first of its kind in the United States, and because of him, Massachusetts became the first state to ban flavored tobacco products, which then led to other states following suit. Now, I can go on and on about what kind of person Senator Keenan is, but I don't think we have enough time for that. But I'll leave it at this. Senator Keenan always believes in us, the students of Holbrook Middle High School, and he is someone who embodies our school slogan perfectly: care, challenging ourselves, aspiring to excellence, being resilient, and engaging with others. Please join me in welcoming Senator John F. Keenan.
Good evening, and thank you. I've been in the legislature for over 10 years, and I have to tell you, when I think back to the things that I've been involved with, being involved with the students of this school has, without a doubt, been the highlight. To watch these students come to the State House, to see them walk the hallways, to see them talk to the press, to see them go through a crowd of convenience store owners and big tobacco lobbyists and walk into a crowded hearing room and tell the entire legislature about how they felt they were being targeted, which is something you don't see very often. They went up against some of the highest paid lobbyists in the country, and they won. And so they inspired me and continue to inspire me. So then, Jessica, thank you so much for those kind words. And good evening, everybody. It is really an honor to be here. I've never done this before, so while I speak often, this is the first time at a graduation, so please bear with me. And like we heard earlier, I think it was Brooke who said that she thought a lot about what she was going to say, but it really didn't come to the last minute. And that's what happened here as well. So I just want to say thank you for having me here. It truly is an honor. And to School Committee Chair Nancy Alterio, to members of the school committee, Superintendent Hamilton, Principal Stevenson, to administrators, teachers, and parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, and sisters, and especially to the class of 2021, congratulations. As I said, I've never done this before, so what do you do when you don't know what to do? You go to Google. And what Google suggested was that to tell a joke. And so I practiced a joke, and my wife, who's pretty candid, said, don't try to be funny because you're really not. So there'll be no joke. My son told me that maybe I should quote the Nelk Boys. And I looked them up and I said, I'm not doing that. So I'd like to share, if I could, just a couple stories. A little over 2 years ago, I was on a Greek island about 7 miles off the coast of Turkey. I was volunteering at a refugee camp, Moria Refugee Camp. It's often referred to as the worst refugee camp in the world. It's called hell on earth by many. Well, one evening, after a long day in the camp, I went out to dinner with other volunteers and these 2 young men who had made their way to this island. They had lost their families, and they knew that they had to get away from the place that they called home. And they met on a boat on a treacherous crossing, wondering whether they would survive. And they promised to each other on that trip that they would become brothers and that they would be inseparable. They had lost everything that they had known. They had lost their loved ones, but they had found each other. When they arrived on the island, they started to work their way through the asylum process, and at one point reached the stage where they could travel throughout Greece. But they decided not to. They decided to stay on the island. They both got jobs. And then they spent their free time volunteering in the camp, coaching the young residents, the young children of the camp, in soccer. After dinner that night, they invited us over to their tiny apartment, a basement apartment. The outside door to the apartment was packaged like a Christmas present. And in the small living room, they had a Christmas tree, and there were stockings on the wall. Their personalities completely filled the room, and they could not wait to share the dessert that they had made for us. The next year, when I returned to the camp, I spent some time with a resident, a refugee from Syria. We were cleaning an area so that we could build some more tents. He told me that he had been a soccer player in Syria and that he hoped to play in the Olympics, but he had to flee his home because of the war. He showed me a picture of his home. It was a pile of rocks. His home had been bombed, and like those two other boys, he had lost family members. And he was here in this camp, this hell on earth, helping every day the other people of the camp by building tents. About a year and a half ago, associated with my work in substance use, I traveled to Vancouver, Canada, and spent some time in a neighborhood called Skid Row. It's described as one of the worst neighborhoods in North America. I was there to research addiction treatment programs, and I spent a couple days literally wandering the streets, sitting on park benches, sitting on bus stops, talking to people if they were willing to talk to me, observing what was going on. And I found the neighborhood quite shocking. Well, after I had done that, walking around and talking on my own, I went into a building where one of the treatment programs is located. And as I walked through the door to the right, there was a man in the corner in the fetal position, slightly rocking. I didn't know what quite to make of it because nobody else seemed to be really concerned. So in any event, I met with the director of the program, and as we were sitting in a room, the same man walked into the room. He emptied the barrels, he swept the floor, he cleaned off countertops. He said good morning and welcomed me. He was addicted. He injected drugs in this place because he felt safe there. And in return, he volunteered, cleaning the place and welcoming others who were seeking help. And just one last story. About 2 months ago, I was at Father Bill's in Quincy. And I was talking to a man who had been employed, but gave up his job to help care for his dying mother. After she passed away, he struggled with some mental health issues, and he found himself out on the streets, and ultimately he made his way to Father Bill's. And he told me Father Bill saved his life. That's where he slept every night, and that's where he volunteered every day. He volunteered in a homeless shelter while being homeless himself. Each of these people was on their own distinct, difficult journey through life. They are people of incredible resilience. And what they taught me, I wish to share with you. They taught me about the importance of two things when facing adversity in life: home and humanity, a word that we heard earlier. Maya Angelou, an American poet and civil rights activist, said the ache for home lives in all of us. The safe place where we can go as we are and not be questioned. Each of the people in these stories grew up and lived in a place different from where I met them. Each found themselves far away from their earlier homes, in places and situations they never imagined. All of you have lived in different houses or apartments, some big, some small, some modern, some a little worn. Some of you may have lived in a shelter, on a friend's couch, or even in a car. Some of those places have been happy places, and others not so happy. But I'm willing to bet that for many of you there has been a special place. That place where you can go, be yourself, and not be questioned. That place, the place, wherever it is, that feels like home. Maybe it is where you live, in your bedroom or a little nook in the corner of the house or the apartment. It may be here at this school. It may be on a team playing on this field. It may be in a club or when on stage. It may be in a place of worship, in a scouting group, at a coffee shop, or while in a local park with your friends. It is that place that has, when you needed it, made you feel safe, the place that has accepted you for who you are and has been a big part of getting you through school and to graduation. And perhaps some of you have not found it, and maybe some of you have not needed it. As you graduate tonight, as you leave high school to go to college, to the military, or perhaps to start a job, you are stepping away. At some point, you may end up where you never imagined, for better or for worse. It can be a little scary, but don't be afraid. Like the two young brothers living in a basement apartment on an island, far from their first home, like the young man living in a refugee camp, helping build tents, like the man living in the offices of the treatment facility, and the man at Father Bill's. No matter where you go next, no matter where life takes you, no matter what hardships you may face, make your special place. Make a home. Make a place where you can be you, accepted for who you are without question. When you move from there, bring that special feeling of home, that special feeling of home with you to the next place. And always remember your special place, your home here in Holbrook. The second thing that these people taught me is the value and importance of humanity, of kindness, compassion, of giving back. You've already learned these values here in Holbrook. You have volunteered at your special place or went out of your way to make the path for others easier, the lives of others better. You did it by helping and cheering on fellow students on the fields, courts, and stages, by sharing your artwork, collecting items for Father Bill's, promoting the food pantry, fighting to end the stigma of autism, helping people in Ecuador, expressing appreciation for your teachers, raising awareness about climate change, and remembering veterans on Valentine's Day. And students from this great school, as we heard, worked to pass legislation recognizing World Peace Day and led the way in passing a first-in-the-nation law to protect their generation from vaping and smoking. In each of these ways, each of you has shared your humanity. So as you leave your special place to take on new challenges, remember your humanity. Those two young refugee brothers lived their humanity by coaching children. The Syrian soccer player shared his while living in a tent by building tents for others. The man living with an addiction in Vancouver welcomed others when they needed help. And the man at Father Bill's helped others coming to the shelter. You have learned humanity here in your community and in your school. Exercise it whenever you can. Give back. As good as your humanity will be for others, it will also help you during challenging times. The stories I shared of the people I met teach us all that we do indeed ache for that place. Not necessarily of four walls and a roof, but rather a safe place to go where we are not questioned or judged, a place that feels like home. The stories teach us of home and the value of humanity. I am so honored to have gotten to know your class, this great class, so proud of each of you, and so excited about what your futures will bring. My hope, as you make your way through life, as you pursue your dreams, is that finding or making a home will sustain you, and that your humanity will nourish you and others. Congratulations to the class of 2021. Thank you for the great honor of being here tonight.
Thank you, Senator Keenan. It has been a pleasure working with you over the past few years. We are very grateful for what you have done for the school community. It is now my pleasure to introduce Superintendent of the Holbrook Public Schools, Julie Hamilton.
Well. Here we are, and we said we were going to do it, and we did it. And don't tell me that's not a sign, right? Woo! Hours ago, we had thunder and lightning, we had rain, and look at it now. And how about those speeches? These kids, and thank you, Senator Keene, these kids are so well-spoken. They are so well-educated. They're our future, and I'm pretty glad about that. I feel secure in that. So I want to start. Who wants to follow any of them? Dear esteemed students, faculty, parents, and honored guests, good evening. It's so nice to look out into the crowd on such a joyous occasion and to be able to see actual whole faces. As a community, we have survived a pandemic, so rain was not going to keep us from coming out tonight to honor this amazing class. Speaking tonight to the class of 2021 on this momentous occasion signifying the culmination of 12 years of hard work is my greatest pleasure. As your superintendent, I am truly honored, and I want to start by saying that I've known most of these young men and women sitting before you for a long time. And as I've gotten to know our newest members of the class of 2021, I can say that the entire class are truly some of the nicest, kindest, most respectful young adults to ever grace our hallways, and to say that they will be missed next year is a gross understatement. I have thoroughly enjoyed spending quality time with them recently at our senior outdoor movie night, at Boston Bowl, at the prom, and I even enjoyed our senior sunrise, though it would have been ideal if sunrise in May was closer to 7 a.m. and not 5 a.m. That was pretty rough. Of course, if I had missed that event, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy Anthony Lugel's homemade muffins, or seen Raphael's epically entertaining dance performance to Beyonce's Irreplaceable, And You Are. I continue to be impressed and amazed by the resiliency and the positivity that this class of students has exuded throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, which began towards the end of their junior year and continued to impact the way that they interacted, learned, and were able to celebrate into what has not been a very traditional senior year. I was moved by the various anecdotes shared with me by students during these difficult times. Many stories shared common themes, which focused on what was learned and what was discovered during the pandemic rather than what was lost. Senior Terry Placier told me in an email that when things get hard, he has learned that you have to persevere through those obstacles. And in a year that could easily have plied students with a valid excuse to feel constantly defeated, angry, and shortchanged, our students learned to do just that, to adapt, to make the most of a situation that they could not control, and to celebrate small moments of joy instead. These characteristics born of a tough situation will ultimately serve you all well, as tomorrow's leaders, political activists, scientists, innovators, entrepreneurs, and change agents will need to demonstrate flexibility, the skill of being able to adapt quickly, and the ability to always think outside of the box. I thought that the Senior Sunrise event was particularly symbolic of both the year which has passed and of the year to come, and that you chose to brave the darkness together, and together you chose to usher in the light of a new day. During the past winter, which for many of us was the most stressful time during the pandemic, as much was still unknown about COVID-19 and the possibility of a vaccine by spring. Like everyone else, I would gear up in my gloves and mask with my 3-pound jug of Perel, and I would do my food shopping at Trucci's. And each week, as I navigated up the aisles cautiously and nervously, without fail, I would hear the booming and jovial voice of Matt Messina asking me first how I was doing, and then questioning when he'd be able to get back to school, or if there would be a graduation or a prom. That last topic was of particular interest to Matt. And then I would see George Starr, working tirelessly to bag groceries, always upbeat and curious about when we would be able to get back to this new normal again. And George, as an aside, though you thought that your HCAM segment, Don't Harsh My Mellow, was not popular with the masses, I found it hilarious, informative, and a good, honest depiction of what many kids were thinking, but only you were comfortable enough to say. I very much found myself looking forward to my visits to Trucci's because of my interactions with these seniors. Their optimism, kindness, and faith in my ability and my team's ability to get them back to school safely reinvigorated me and served as a constant reminder of the enormous responsibility that the Holbrook Public Schools and I had towards our students and their families around navigating from a Zoom and remote learning platform to in-person education. While the pandemic offered an extreme learning curve in developing resiliency and learning to persevere, it nevertheless left a definable mark on these young men and women, like an almost invisible paw print tattoo that would read, "Bring it on, you can't stop us, we're Bulldogs." We are Bulldogs, all of us. And a fun fact, two Bulldogs are never the same. No two Bulldogs. They're unique and they're special, just like each of you. But while they have some distinguishing qualities, all Bulldogs are affectionate and a friend for life. Their status as an old world dog endures today, making them well suited for guarding and protecting those they care for. Bulldogs are very loyal. We talk a lot about being Bulldogs and what it means to us as a learning community. We wear our Bulldog emblem proudly on our clothes and uniforms in the Holbrook Public Schools. We post paw print emojis on our texts and emails, and we parade our mascot any chance we get. At a pep rally to close Spirit Week, some folks, even here, kissed a Bulldog. And Hallie Baldwin says that when she's called a Bulldog, it makes her feel a sense of pride. And one of her favorite memories, shared by many others, was during her sophomore year at Memorial Day's parade when the class had a real-life Bulldog as part of their festivities. Dawson Codius adds that Bulldogs are also known to be strong and determined. And Dawson, we know that you and your Bulldog attitude will serve our country proud as you join the military next year. I'm not done with Dawson. We're going to circle back. Everywhere you go, your status as a Bulldog for life goes with you to all of the amazing places you'll be journeying. It may take the form of a stuffed animal. It may not take the form of a stuffed animal or an iron-on emblem, but Bulldog pride is embedded in you much deeper than fabric. It will always swell up, bubbling to the surface each time you earn high marks or use your time and talents in the service of others. Each time you stand up for social justice in your service to our nation's military, or any opportunity you take to make a positive impact in the world, that's when you'll feel it, that Bulldog pride right here. By the way, you have so much to be proud of. And I'm talking not just to our graduates, but to all of you, their families as well. Because the struggles and the sacrifices and the late nights and the motivational meals and all the advice, it all got these students to where they are at this very moment in time. So thank you to all of you. Soak in the triumph of this day because it is your triumph as well. I look at the list of schools our graduates will be attending, the career paths they will be following, and their plans of service. And I have to say, it is very impressive. Boston College, Curry, Drexel, Bridgewater, Emmanuel, Georgia State, Ithaca, University of Maine's College of Art, Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Services, Mass Maritime, Northeastern, Pace, Spelman College, Purdue, Wentworth Institute of Technology, Worcester Polytech, and many, many more fine institutions of learning. Among our graduates, we have students headed to college with a focus on laying foundations for one day attending medical school. Some folks looking to focus on careers in criminal justice. Others will focus on computer science. We have several future educators in this class and many future mechanical and civil engineering majors. Lots of our science-oriented students are looking to major in areas from biotech with a focus on genetic modification to radiologic sciences, neuroscience, and this impressive list goes on. Your desire to go into fields around service, health, education, the law, and homeland security speak to the dedication this class has towards giving back to their local community and beyond. Nani shared that her goal is to enter the field of education so she can support and shape young minds, creating strong foundations towards literacy, emphasizing critical thinking, modeling strategies for problem solving, and promoting peace, social justice, and good citizenship. It makes me happy to know that for so many of you like Nani, Anaya, and Stacy, your time here in the Holbrook Public Schools has inspired you to teach and ignite the flame of passion for learning in others. And we're counting on all of you to do just that. It will be through the thoughtfulness, advocacy, and your generation's acute sense of awareness around issues of social justice, environmental protection, and politics that the world will change. In keeping with the theme of service, kindness, and advocacy for others, just last week, at our National Honor Society induction, I was able to hear about the wonderful types of service that senior student leaders like Carrietta, Brooke, Anthony, Annie, and Jessica have done through their membership in National Honor Society, working in food pantries, fundraising for research around finding cures for cancer, and many other important projects. And I know that so many more of you have contributed to our community through your work in such clubs as Civics with Mrs. Clawher and Senator Keenan. Many of you sitting here today were brave in making sure that teenage voices were heard in relation to such topics as the dangers of vaping. You created important dialogue around topics impacting teenagers in our community through your important advocacy through such programs as Team Rival, the 84, and Bulldog Cares. Doing amazing work, Melanda Alcius, Alana Corleolin, and Esther Prizzo helped bring an awareness to our school of issues around social justice as it manifests within our school and community, as well as providing opportunities for education around topics related to human rights, access, participation, and equity. Students work closely with advisor Ms. A to set a safe platform for LGBTQ and allied youth to build a stronger learning community and to highlight issues impacting students within our school. This work is so important in that it acts as one more vehicle towards social change and education related to racial, gender, and educational justice. I cannot forget to mention our fantastic HCAM volunteers, Matt Messina, Kevin Hillman, Nick Polano, Natalie Holbrook, Joe McLaughlin, Andrew Larossi, and Caleb Tobin. They worked tirelessly to bring programming, public service announcements, and access for events to folks at home who couldn't be with us in person throughout the past year and a half. You helped us to stay connected. I really can't stress how talented, enjoyable, and gifted the students behind me are. On the field, the turf, and on the court, we were able to enjoy the talents of such phenomenal athletes as Emma Curtis, Kylie McKeon, Isabel O'Connor, Brooke Walker, Billy Curtis, Brendan Oliveira, Brendan Hoffman, Jonathan Jean-Baptiste, Rolex St. John, Lorenz Ward, and Harris Jacques. These kids were not only great at their sport, but they played their games with integrity, upholding the pillars of the MIAA in the areas of wellness, leadership, service, and good sportsmanship. The late Mr. Buckley, who spent so much time watching and cheering from the sidelines, would have been so proud of you all today. As popular as our sports teams, our musical theater productions brought the town out each year for outstanding music and concerts. Under the tutelage of Caitlin LaPrize, Paula Morgan, and Mary Clawher, seniors like Carrietta, Jessica Stacy, Livia, Savannah, and Katharina thrived, wowing us with productions like Mary Poppins and Grease. If the lists are long, it's only because the students in this class participated in so many extracurricular activities, clubs, sports, and projects beyond the classroom and beyond the traditional school day. The good deeds, service, and commitment to others shown by the class of 2021 are too numerous to list in one evening. But at the heart of who we are is the theme of service to others and kindness, the sorts of things you've grown to expect from Holbrook Bulldogs. I leave you, precious and valued members of the class of 2021, with this one quote. And it's not by a famous author, yet, or by a celebrity, though he may be one to us. It's by Dawson Codius. And I'm circling back to Dawson because of something he said at our bowling trip that resonated with me. He looked down at the lane, looked back at me, and he said, "I'm going to bowl this one with my eyes closed. And hey, whatever happens, it's gonna be fine." And then he positioned himself confidently at the line. He closed his eyes, he took a deep breath, and he let that ball fly off down the laminated floor. You see, life can be just like that. You won't always be able to see the end of the lane. You can't always get a guarantee that things will turn out the way you expected them to. But just like Dawson's example, your lived experience, your education, and family values up to this moment have laid very solid groundwork for who you are, for what you value, and you're ready for whatever comes next. So take a leap of faith, and wherever the ball lands at the end of the path, you'll persevere, you'll figure it out. Be kind, and you'll be fine. You're Bulldogs. Congratulations, and all the best. You are amazing kids, and we're so proud of you.
At this time, I would like to invite School Committee Chair Nancy Alterio up to the podium to review and graduate the class of 2021.
Doesn't Superintendent Hamilton's passion just shine through for this district, for the faculty, and especially for the students? Thank you so much, Superintendent Hamilton. I tell you, it is a privilege to work beside you. And those student speeches were just absolutely fabulous. What extraordinary work the faculty has done with these students as well as the families. And Senator Keenan, I have to tell you, your speech was so inspiring. It really hit home to me, so thank you so much for being here today. It is a pleasure to have you. So class of 2021, I have a question for you. Are you ready to graduate? Yes. All right, let's make that happen. Surrounded by your friends and families, the faculty and staff of the Holbrook Public Schools, and the entire community of Holbrook, class of 2001, please rise. 2021, did I say 2000? 2021, please rise. Did I say 2001? All right, okay. I missed a year. We had a year, I missed a year. Wasn't there COVID? So thank you. By the authority vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts through the town of Holbrook as the chairperson of the Holbrook Public School Committee, I pronounce you graduates of Holbrook Middle High School with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations. To the class of 2021. Now I gotta introduce. Now I'd like to introduce class of 2021's advisor, Kelly Grant, and assistant principal, Shannon O'Driscoll, for the presentation of diplomas.
All right, are we ready? All right. Carrietta Diane Jocks. Ilianis Marie Luciano. Brooke Ann Walker. Jessica Morgan West. Melinda Alcius. Hallie Irene Baldwin. Katarina Marie Page Broker. Cindy Bushgokai. Wanye Shamar Caton. Alana Coriolan. Dawson Nevkashi Kotias. William James Curtis III. Emma Victoria Curtis. Brooke Elizabeth DeBona. Stacy Granada Domingo. William Francis Elliott III. Tommy Hahn. Kevin Robert Hillman. Brendan Edward Hoffman. Natalie Jean Holbrook. Harris Michael Jocks. Hussein Jonathan Jean Baptiste. Anaya Lisette Lavoie. Andrew LaRossi. Anthony Joseph Lugel. Livia Louise Lund. Caitlin Marie McCarthy. Kylie Rose McKeon. Matthew Kevin Messina. Rafael Montez. Taiwan Eversley Morton. Rayana Kimura Muse. Vernon Dayro Mwagiro. Annie Nguyen. Anthony Nguyen. Isabel Marie O'Connor. Brandon Lopes Oliveira. Nicholas Grant Polano. Deep Patel. Andrew Vincent Pemberton. Rochelle Pimentel. Terry Nathaniel Placier. And Esther Prizeau. Alberto Jr. Rodriguez Mojica. Maya Lee Siauya Rose. Jonathan James Scanlon. You ready? Yeah. Janora Lynn Spain Grant. Rolex Ambroise Sylvain St. John. George Herbert Starr. Sorry. Tyler Michael Sullivan. Sarah Oluwadima Lola Teo. Anthony Armando Tirabassi. Caleb James Tobin. Christine Benita Valsamont. Lisbeth Ariana Valdez. Sovun Brandon Vu. Alexandra Flora Wild. Ryan Alexandra Woodford. And Fiona Amy Claire Young.
What are you doing back here?
All right, so it's been a tough and non-traditional year. For that reason, it's hard to find the exact right words to express to the class of 2021 how much we care and how much we hope each of you move on from here to experience amazing adventures. Remember us as we'll always remember you. And so, since words cannot adequately express our sentiments, we thought a song might serve to do the trick. After all, nothing about this year has been traditional. Why start now? We have a little surprise for you.
Let's go, people. I'm not doing this alone. Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a lesson, not impression to be in time. It's something unpredictable. You ready? Here we go. Unhang the photographs and still frames in your mind. I'm ready now to dip in it, been good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end that's right. I hope you had the time of your life. Are you ready? Here we go. It's something unpredictable, but in the end there's life. I hope you had the time of your life. All right, nice work, everybody.
So with that, thank you for joining us in today's celebration. Kindly remain in your seats as the faculty in the class of 2021 proceeds out of the stadium. We also ask that all guests wait to exit the stadium and proceed off campus to continue the celebration of your graduates. This concludes the 149th annual commencement exercises of the Holbrook Public Schools. We forgot the tassels! Jessica! That would be terrible! Don't go anywhere. I got so excited with the song. All right. Now Kylie's going to throw her hat at me. I know, I'm sorry. We have to wait for poor Jess has to walk a mile to get up here. We'll give Jess a hand.
Would the class of 2021 please rise? In recognition of our status as graduates, please join me in turning your tassels from right to left. And now, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
And now we're really done. So thank you for joining us. We'll let our students lead us out.